Hey, everybody, this is Craig Garber. Welcome to Everyone Loves Guitar. I got a great guest today with Tim Young. In addition to being a really excellent guitar player, most excellent, he's funny as hell, very quick-witted, and we're going to have a great conversation. I want to thank our mutual friend, Jeff Babko, for connecting us. Jeff, thanks very much. Jeff, you don't know this, but this is the second time we're recording this. The first time we recorded, as soon as I mentioned your name, Jeff Babko, the whole thing shut down. I don't know. So I was, Anyway, let me give you guys some background on Tim. He started playing guitar when he was 5. By 12, he was producing. Were you one of those mean producers at 12?
Yeah. Sort of on the Phil Spector model. Lock him in a room, hold a gun to his head. My friend. It ended up with a lot of trouble. I ended up in a lot of trouble at school because of that. But, yeah.
And then he started playing live shows throughout San Francisco area when he was in high school. He continued his career and education at the Cornish College of the Arts. Now, you'd say, why would you get a Cornish College of the Arts? And this is, I'm not kidding. This is really interesting. You have all these, music schools in California. And yet the reason, I don't know what your outlook is on like who's running the show or like your spirituality, but like once I asked myself, why did he go to Cornish College of the Arts? And then I read every body you've played with, and like if you hadn't gone to Cornish College of the Arts, none of that,
I wouldn't have met my wife either.
I'm just saying. So it's like, that's why you went.
Well, and very simple. And the simple answer to that question is like, what reason is my sister? Very simply.
What reason is? Oh, your sister.
Yeah, what led me to Cornish? Just my sister. She was up there in Seattle, and it was nothing more complicated than that. Like, I'm just going to go because my sister lives up there.
But do you think about stuff like that? Like what, like if I had made a right turn instead of a left turn my whole life?
Absolutely. I think about it. Yeah. For good, for better, and for worse. I mean, I think I've spent a good portion of my life just ruminating on regret, like of what if I would have done this or would have done that.
Yeah.
No.
I know.
There's a great book actually recently that my wife recommended called The Midnight Library, where basic premise, a girl dies or she commits suicide, and as she's about to die, she ends up in this place, the Midnight Library, where all the possibilities of what her life could have been are there. And she has to like sort of come to peace with who she is in this moment by getting to live all these other things, up to a point. And as soon as she gets bored with them, she comes back to the library. She lives a bunch of lives and then realizes the one she's in is actually pretty good.
That's pretty cool, man. Thank you. Yeah. Do you ever see that? It's a kind of a chick flick, but there's a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow called Sliding Doors.
No, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, it's like it's kind of a chick flick movie, but it's like the doors are sliding closing to the train, or maybe closing doors is called.
Right.
And in one setting, she gets out and runs down the stairs. In the other setting, something, she gets delayed.
Stays on the train.
And they go through both episodes of her whole life. And it's, I always just wonder about that shit.
Well, as we were wondering right now about like what led me there. My sister, simply, but I can't imagine what would have happened otherwise.
I know.
It's led to a wonderful, interesting journey.
Yeah, great life, happy life. Yeah. I mean, everybody has negatives, so you just like if you handle the negative, you're like, okay, because I don't know if I could have handled the negative in the other.
Right, the other reality.
Yeah,
could have been worse.
Yeah. All right, so he continued his career in education at Cornish College of the Arts, where he'd carve out strong community musicians in Seattle that would influence his career for years to come, including Bill Frisell, Wayne Horvitz, Zony Mash, which is really badass stuff. If you guys haven't listened to that, Zony Mash, great stuff. I would really check it out. David Sylvain and many others. After working with a plethora, I think you're maybe the first guy that's used plethora.
Oh,
yeah, man.
Thanks.
It's very impressive. Of talented musicians and bands, Tim moved to Southern California, where he settled into a career of session work. He supported artists such as Rosanne Cash, Kay Slang and Veirs, Beck, Fiona Apple, and Ricky Lee Jones, as well as working on music for film, television, and video games. Today, he's played on hundreds of records for artists in all genres, and he really is incredibly diverse. And he produces and records from his studio, which is called the Paella Pit. He also has the best guitarist gig, like maybe in the whole United States. He's the guitarist on James Corden's Late Late Show. Again, he's a member of the band Zony Mash. He leads Tim Young and the Questionnaires. He has a band with his wife called the Youngs. He's got Young and More and Penix, P-E-N-I. We're going to go through all this later. But anyway, man, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for your patience and sorry with all these technical difficulties.
No, it's all in the name of Jeff.
I'm never going to mention his name again. Next time I get somebody, JB, thank you. You know, man, you started playing at a really young age. Were you from a musical family?
Yeah, sort of. My grandma got sort of just tossed me into it. Grandma Peg, she was a musician. She actually made her living as a musician in South Africa.
Wow.
She taught piano lessons, and at that time in rural South Africa, she would like ride her horse around people's houses, teach piano lessons. That was one of the gigs. And then she played piano for the silent movies in town.
Holy crap.
And I guess she would improvise her scores, you know, she would just like jam along to the silent movies. And then the other gig was she would play organ at the funeral home. And like when they would cremate the bodies, she would be there playing the organ. And those were her 3 gigs at that time. And then she became an accountant, I think, and got us other steady gigs. But when she moved to America and lived with us when I was growing up, she got me into music. She bought me my first guitar when I was 5 and she had moved to a little retirement community in Menlo Park that was near what was it called? Sacred Heart Seminary. It's like a Catholic school or whatever. And the nuns there, she had somehow made friends with Sister Marguerite at the Sacred Heart, what do they call it? Seminary. And so she took me to Sister Marguerite to get music lessons when I was 5.
Holy smoke.
I took like these, classes, learn your D, G, and C chords, whatnot.
What a work ethic that woman had.
Oh man, Grandma Peg, forget about it. She is a farm girl, and she in South Africa. They were like paving the road down the way, like some couple like a mile away. They were putting asphalt on. She took a little wheelbarrow down there and would take the extra bits of asphalt off there, wheel them back to her house, and put them in a barrel and melted them down. And she paved her own. Oh my God! Herself. Like, okay, Granny.
Wow. Was she she had to marry like a very strong dude, otherwise she just like burned through men. I mean seriously.
No, he was a loser pretty much. He was a terrible person, and
that's terrible, man.
Yeah, he was a terrible dude. I never met him, and she disliked him so much that when they divorced, I think she made it her sworn mission to outlive him.
Wow.
She lived to see him pass away, and then she passed away very, very peacefully in her sleep after playing 9 holes of golf that day. What a woman, man. What an inspiration. Seriously, man. I can't get enough. I think about her all the time, and I want to write an album, like a suite of songs about her, because she was just a fascinating and powerful person. Yeah. So she got me started. Be that dominant as a woman in South Africa. I mean, back in that day here in the States, would have been really difficult. Like, I don't know what it was like in South Africa, but that's even more. I would think. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Strong lady. Mm-hmm. So what a role model. That's so cool. No, seriously. So you started with the sisters taking guitar lessons, and it went from there. Very cool. Yeah, and then into school, and right around 11 or 12, got involved with some friends of mine, started a band and writing our own songs and recording our stuff on cassette, even before we had a 4-track, we just like recorded onto one cassette and then play that cassette and play along with it while recording it into another mono cassette recorder. The old Radio Shack thing. Oh yeah. So I started into that pretty young, about 11.
And then you started playing professionally while you're in high school. How did that come about?
Oh yeah. So about sophomore year, I met up with some other guys in the high school who were really into music, and one of the other guys was in like jazz band together. We were in jazz band, and he knew some other kids because he grew up in Palo Alto. He knew some other kids that were real serious that went to another school, Palo Alto, Pali High. I was at Menlo Atherton, so we connected with the other guys. So my friend Darius Stone played bass, and then Paul Moore, my buddy who I'm still working with, he played keyboards, and then Chris Abramson played drums, and they were both, really, really accomplished musicians. Darius was very serious. We came together and made this band, Twilight Breakfast. That's right, Twilight Breakfast.
Dude, I love all your band names, man.
That was, yeah, we had a thing, and we played, I had already written a lot of songs by that point, and by the time we really coalesced, I was like 15 or 16. And we played as much as you could as a high school band, like got all our high school gigs, dances, playing the day on the green and all that stuff. Started getting the gigs at their high school, and then other high schools play their, events, different things. We started getting like gigs at the different schools, middle schools, high schools, and community events a little bit. And one of our friends at high school, Blaine Kaplan, started managing us.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah, and he went on to manage the band Sublime. And
you're kidding me. That is hilarious.
Yeah, and he would book events, like we would rent the community center and stuff and book our own dance. And I think one year, like the homecoming thing happened at our high school, and all the kids were into our band. Like we had a thing going, and they all wanted us to play the thing, but then they chose this other band, there's like this political thing. So we staged our own homecoming. We rented like the Alpine Community Center and threw our own dance, and like got kegs and like hired bouncers. And
so you guys were like very serious about this.
Yeah, we were ballers. And even more amazingly, we got a gig at this place in East Palo Alto called Club Afrique. Now, East Palo Alto at that time was very much the other side of the tracks. Like, Palo Alto right now is like the darling, just .com shishi zone. And at that time, man, East Palo Alto was a ghetto for real. I mean, it still kind of is farther towards the Bay, but it was, you pass, I'm not sure, so I guess you pass the 101 and it's just a whole nother world at that time. And this place, Club Afrique, these East African dudes owned it, and they let us have Wednesday nights, man. We played there on Wednesday nights, and we were high school. They knew we were 16 and 17 years old, man, but all of our friends were there. They were selling so much beer, and
that's hilarious.
It was so we had like a proper bar gig every Wednesday night.
You had a residency.
Residency. We would play like 3 hours, man. We would play like all of our tunes and like covers of everything. All the
What were you
hits,
playing
man.
musically at that time?
So a lot of classic rock. You got to have the big Zeppelin, Hendrix, Beatles, whatever. You got to have those in there. But a lot of Deadheads in the Bay Area at the time.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah.
So that was represented. There'd be some Dead songs, and then there'd be some like just real wide, genre, a lot of different genres. Whoever the people in the band were bringing different styles. Paul Moore was really into synth kind of stuff. So Styx and Duran Duran.
Right. And
so it would be some of those elements. And then Chris, the drummer, was a real like Fusac guy, like real Jeff Porcaro.
Okay.
Was like Aaron Copeland, Stuart Copeland. He really liked the choppy drummers, so there'd be some choppy drum stuff, some Rush. There'd be some Rush songs in there.
So that's pretty diverse. When did you get into like the jazz / improv / eclectic, for lack of a better word?
I just kind of right away, because I've never really had a super strong sense, other than I like rock and roll, but I've never been like, oh, this is my thing, and I'm just going to do this. Like I'm just up to try to learn other stuff. or it seems like that's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
As a musician. So I got it, getting into jazz really was just joining the jazz band at school.
Okay.
Frank
Nothing
Moore,
more than that.
Yeah. I mean, just exposure to that. And then, listening to more of it. Cause you go from listening to Hendrix and classic rock stuff. And then you might be like, oh, check out Miles Davis live at the Fillmore. Hey, that was the same year. Well, they did drugs too. Cool. I'll listen to them. And then you're like, whoa,
more drugs.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, Miles Davis. Wait, he did drugs in the 50s too? Wow, he was cool then. I'm just kidding. But point being, sort of like with what I was interested in, rock and the sort of culture of that kind of drifted on it as I started to see that, oh, jazz is really vibrant and, soulful music.
Yeah.
So I connected to it a little more, but I didn't really fall in love with jazz until I went to jazz school in a way. Okay. And I came to Cornish, kind of a novice at jazz. Even I was the second string guitar player in the high school band. There was this other guy. I can't remember his name, Tyler something or other. He was better.
No one remembers his name now, Tim, but everybody knows your name. So don't worry.
Oh man. But he, I didn't end up playing that much. And that music in jazz band, like big band guitar, is this weird thing. It's like kind of like Freddie Green, where you're supposed to be playing like 6 chords, with on the quarter notes. But when it's big band, it has to like connect with all the horns and the hits and the drums. So they end up being these incredibly complicated charts, but that are just like chord symbols. Okay. Like a lot of rhythmic information, and then like B flat 13, B flat 7, B flat sus 13, B flat, like you're supposed to be changing on every beat. I just go blank when I see that stuff. I see that and my mind just turns off.
Even today.
Yeah, man, I can sort of parse it out better now, but my experience of jazz to that point was just like, oh, jazz is this terrible hassle that I'm going to have to deal with someday.
Yeah.
It wasn't a real joyful thing for me, but I learned a couple pieces enough to audition at Cornish and get into the thing. And then I got exposed to the real joy of it. When you hear Charlie Parker and you get it in context and you hear John Coltrane and stuff, you're just like, you start to understand how beautiful it is.
Well, you were playing, I watched that. I think there's a couple of videos with you and Bill Frisell.
Yeah,
man, your eyes were like closed for most. I mean, you were in your your happy place there, man. You could see that you were. Nice. It was really cool because you could tell there was no like rehearsal, no.
You could definitely tell that.
But I mean, not because it was bad, but just because of like, hey, what do you want to? You could just tell it was very natural. There was no. And then all of a sudden it was kind of magic. All of a sudden you open your eyes and one of you just sort of says, okay, let's finish now. But it was really, it was like really good chemistry musically. That was, you guys, it was a very mellow, very mellow vibe. Oh, really cool. Nice. Yeah, it was, I really enjoyed it. I think it was 2 of them. I watched them twice each. It was really good.
Oh, thanks.
It was, and the music, and you sounded great. And then I love that vintage, which we'll talk about later. That looked like a vintage SG, man. Yeah. Proper checking on it and everything. Man. Yeah. It was nice. Okay, so Mike, I had another question. Cornish, which you said your sister was going to school there, and you said, hey, I might as well join her.
Well, my sister was up in Seattle area. She's in the medical field. She's a nurse, dermatologist, and she lived in Seattle. And I just have always followed her. She kind of, in a way, she's like my protector, my guardian angel.
That's cool.
My mom, in a way. She's 10 years older, and I just always sort of followed her around. She's like, oh, she lives up there. I'm just going to go there. Everything will be all right. And sure enough, it was a very good experience. I mean, I had considered, I knew there was great schools, Northridge, and I'd looked into those, but I didn't really have a strong direction. And it's funny, at that juncture, finishing high school, the guys in the band, Twilight Breakfast, we had like made a couple of we made an EP, and that was actually on the radio. Like we had it on Live 105 in the Bay Area. Like I've never had that exposure since. I swear to God, I was making more money playing in that band than I've made playing in bands since,
yeah,
for sure.
That's so funny.
And at that point, they were like, "What are we gonna do? It's we're all graduating. Let's do this. Let's pursue the band."
I hope you're not. You hope
was,
you're excluding your late show gig, because if you're not, I'll make a public appeal to James Corden right now. You need to give this fucking guy a raise. If he's making less money now than he was in the 80s or late 70s.
Let's put it this way: until this gig, I could safely say that it was the best gig I had. But
the real truth behind late shows.
Yeah, they want, we had the choice to sort of go on and pursue that or go to college, really. And
what made you choose college?
I just seemed like it wasn't really an option to not, like the amount of parental disappointment that it would incur was not worth the potential.
Right.
Talk about roads not taken, that was definitely one of them.
What did your folks do? Like, were they academics?
Ish. Yeah. My dad was a minister, a Methodist minister.
Okay.
But was a PhD in theology. So he was more on the sort of like theological, philosophical side of it. And Methodists are pretty mellow. They're not very brimstony.
Yeah.
And
it's like Church of England kind of Methodist, isn't it?
It is. It started in England, and it's based off of the Protestant tradition. I don't know enough about it. Anyway, he did that and then taught. He was a minister at Stanford University Methodist Church, and then he kind of transitioned into teaching biomedical ethics and being a professor there.
I had a feeling that because that's a very common thing, like academics or, in those parents that are like that, and I've talked to like 850 people, 100% consistency, they really want you to go to college. And if you're not going to go to college, it's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was a specter of something I wasn't, I didn't have the juice to be like, screw you guys. I'm going with my buddies. We're going to do this rock and roll thing.
Yeah.
I didn't quite have it. I felt like I just needed to go to college and do it.
It worked.
It worked. It did. I had my life and it was great. Yeah. It's been great.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Because, I honestly felt like, no, I do need to learn more about music. I don't have enough to like go and teach. What am I going to tell people at 16 years old?
Yeah.
So
that in and of itself is a pretty difficult. I mean, I give you credit for coming to that conclusion. How many 16-year-olds say, I need more info?
Yeah.
No, seriously. It's like, fuck you.
It's true.
I know it's, I don't know how old you have kids.
I do have a 7-year-old boy. Yeah.
All right. So what you'll find is that you are basically pretty dumb until they're like in their mid-20s, and then they're like, man, I wish I would have listened to you.
Yeah.
Because it's because at 16 you think you know everything. I give you a lot of credit for that, for having that.
Thanks.
Yeah, for thinking that through. That's pretty good.
Just the right amount of self-doubt. I think it's important to have a good. You got to have a little confidence.
Yeah.
And but you also got to check yourself. And I knew that I needed to learn more.
Well, good for you, man.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad I did, certainly. But it led to a funny period for me, going to college and I had a flow. I had a way of doing things. I had gigs, I had people, I had friends, I had a zone. And then I moved. I literally 2 days after graduation, I left the Bay Area, moved to Seattle, and just started from nothing. And it was kind of like going to jazz school, especially, just felt so uncomfortable.
Right.
On guitar. Like I literally through the it ended up being like 5.5 years in school, because I switched around and went to University of Washington for a while, studied ethnomusicology.
Oh, wow. I didn't, that one, there's like one guy, he's a famous ethnomusicologist. and he's done stuff with, you were talking about, I think the Smithsonian. He's done a lot of stuff with like really old African-American blues artists in the Delta.
Alan Lomax.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Alan Nola, read a bunch of his work and like studied him and stuff.
Yeah.
That took me on a whole side track, and I got involved playing Cambodian music and studied with this dude and like toured with them for a while.
Wow. Holy.
So it was kind of a bit of a circuitous path to graduation, but that whole time I kind of, it just was like deconstructing playing guitar, because I came up mostly taught myself with some lessons and but kind of had a thing and played a lot, put in my 10,000 hours as a kid, and then got to college and was like, oh, this shit doesn't work in jazz. You can't play the bar chord and be cool.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you look at the guitar and it's just like snakes and spiders everywhere.
Yeah. Cause everything you thought you knew is you have to unlearn it in a sense, I guess.
Yeah. It's what I call fretboard vertigo. When you start seeing the guitar for all the possibilities that people, on piano, it's quite visual. You see, here's your G7 chord and here's your D flat triad on top. Okay, well, there's your G7, flat 5, flat 9, whatever. That's easy to see on piano because it's visual. On guitar, it's just like, looking at an abacus.
Yeah.
So that feeling, that profound sense of, I have no idea what the fuck to play on this instrument, settled in and then persisted for like another 10 years after college, where I just didn't know like what to play.
How much of that was your
mental?
No, you're like, look, anybody that's successful is tough on themselves.
Sure.
You don't become good at something by like giving yourself a lot of slack. It's just that it's not congruent, So how much of that was your expectations and how much of that was reality, do you think?
About like 40, 40.
40 your expectations.
Yeah. Thinking, but then I can tell, I can listen to recordings of myself at that time and tell that I feel really nervous and really uncomfortable in the music.
Yeah.
Because some things, like playing, for instance, you learn a bunch of stuff about playing jazz and different scales and tonalities, and you have to practice those. And, there's a lot of technical things to take on to even be able to play that music. You have to absorb a whole new set of parameters and rules, Well,
there's so many more chords that you got.
So many more chords. It's really hard. And really to this day, it still is something that I don't think I'm good at. It's just something that I go to that just to work on. I don't think I'm ever going to really be good. It's just something that I try to do to make myself a better musician.
But expression, school's never out for the pro.
Yeah, I guess that's true. It's true. And all the people that I've met, older guys in jazz have always said that.
Everybody that's good at something never feels like, oh, I'm fucking great.
Yeah,
it's true. It's like
it's true.
Maybe there's somebody, but like no matter what you're doing, if you're like a horse wrangler, you're like,
yeah, you have your good horse wrangling days, and then days you feel like a beginner.
I don't know anything about these animals. So it's just like
it's true.
Yeah, which is good because like who wants to like arrive? It's funny, man. My son is just he went back to college later in life. He's 29. He's going to be a physical therapist, and he's asking me now, hey, how do I manage time? How do I put my schedule together? And he called me the other day. He goes, Dad, I never can get my like to-do list done. I said, congratulations. I said, neither can anybody else. Yeah. Don't worry. It's like a little secret. Everybody thinks I'm supposed to get this. No, if you get it done, you're dead. Yeah. When are you finished?
Well said, Craig. That is a really good point. It's hard to learn to manage that in your life, like to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
When you're in that moment, that's a challenge.
Yeah. Well, it's easy when you get older because you're like, I just can't fucking do this, and I'm good.
I'm happy with being as lame as I am with this. I'm glad to be. This is, I get it. I'm just grateful to be able to try to do it.
Right.
You know?
Above ground is good. I hear you.
Yeah,
man.
exactly. There is an element of that. And I think, you have to take that in. You have to approach it that way. Like, I could be incredible at playing jazz, but it's just literally the hours put in. You have to like take that time, start slow.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to play those eighth notes and all those patterns at a slow tempo, relaxed, and then speed it up. I'm always, I want to sound like John Coltrane. I really do.
When you do that, we'll have another show.
I want to be able to play, the guitar and make it sound like that, but it's
young does train.
Yeah.
I'm feeling that, man.
But it's, it takes so much work. John Coltrane or any person like that put so much time into it.
Yeah.
And they never were satisfied. So.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. Okay. So you're at Cornish. You start doing your thing there. Once you finished, like, what was your game plan and how did you get things moving? Or if you had a game plan even.
Yeah, I mean, so I was involved in different little projects there, bands, Scallywags, my own thing, Very Special Forces with Paul Moore. He moved up to Seattle at some point, and we played in my band with my wife.
And you met her at college?
Yeah, I met her in college.
That's so cool. So you've been together a long time then.
Yeah, we've been married for 21 years.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Very good.
And just kind of hustle, getting by, because the Seattle music economy at the time was okay. It was okay. You could play gigs, but if unless you're in Nirvana or Soundgarden or whatever, it wasn't like, there wasn't a lot of gigs. There was the symphony stuff was all tied up. All the film work was done by a small group of people. So I ended up doing a lot of teaching of students, and then a lot of carpentry, a lot of light carpentry. And
how did you learn that?
Well, my dad
Grandma
was
Peg?
always Grandma Peg. Yeah, she always built stuff around. Dude, would build it herself. Totally, just do it herself.
I'm sure.
And then my dad was got into furniture making as a child, blah, blah, blah. He did it his whole life and built amazing furniture. My brother became an architect. They built their own house. I helped them build it. So I've seen,
wow. And
then I just other music friends that I was involved with. We always would just, hustle and get like debris hauling gigs. We had all just do whatever. Sure. Yeah. We'll put a roof on it. No problem. No problem.
Was that college?
You know how to do that, right, Josh? Yeah, sure. Let's go.
That's so fun. Is there a thing out there? There's something here called college hunks hauling junk. It's hysterical.
That could have been us.
Yeah. There are all these moving companies with funny names here.
Totally. So yeah, I mean, I just did whatever to hustle and get by at that time. And that was fine. But I definitely wanted to like try to make a living in music. And we had, so my wife and I decided, let's move to LA. I'd been working with a friend, Kaveh Rastegar, bass player, had a couple projects with him and had been, just sort of collaborating. I'd gone to LA a little bit. Aaron and I had gone and played down there. And I think we went there once in January, and it had been raining it rained 97 days straight that year in Seattle.
Oh, in Seattle. Yeah.
It was just the year from hell of rain. And we went to LA on, middle of January. It was 70 degrees. It was beautiful. We had a gig. Our friends were doing gigs. They were working. We're like, you know what? Let's go there. Screw this. So we sold our house and moved to LA and took the money and just like paid rent for a year and hustled and got work. So Kaveh hooked me up teaching at the Silver Lake Conservatory of Music.
Awesome.
That's Flea's place. So that was.
We say his place. He owns that place.
Yeah, he started a school. Him and his high school buddy teamed up to start a school with. I
didn't know that. Silver Lake Conservatory.
Yeah, the Silver Lake Conservatory of Music. It's a beautiful thing. He raises so much money, and like they'll, Chili Peppers will do a show every year, and they'll get like, Metallica or Neil Young or whatever will come play. They'll do these shows and raise like, $2 million in a shot for this place to give out scholarships to kids who can't afford lessons.
That is so cool. I had no clue about that.
It's
why,
beautiful.
Why hasn't that made?
Why is that? I know. Well, I'd rather hear about that than their records.
Well, I'd rather hear about that than like their drug busts or,
exactly.
Here's a new guitar.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
He's a cool, really super nice guy. And his point was that he felt like he had benefited. His career was launched from a robust music program in the LA school systems, which had been gutted in the, over the years. There's just no public funding for it. So his point was to try to have a place to bridge that gap and to give music to the community. So
you got a gig teaching there.
Yeah, I taught there for 10 years. And
wow.
Started with just 1 day a week. And then at one point I went up to like 3 days a week of teaching, which is a lot. 3 days of 3 8-hour days a week of teaching kids is a lot.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of planning work to do there also.
Yeah. There's that. And just, it's a lot of little personalities. They're mostly half-hour lessons. So you get like up to 16 of them in a row.
Holy shit.
16 different little people with like
it's a miracle you had a child after that.
I know. We'd put you off of children forever.
Yeah. I'm not kidding. It's a lot of work, man.
It was intense, but cool. Like it mostly just connecting to people and, trying to help them find some joy in music. That's
really cool. 10 years, a long time. That's great, man.
Yeah, that was a real stable thing to have. And then, from that point of getting to LA, I made it my business to just try to just say yes to every possible gig, So I just played with whoever would have me.
How did you grow your session stuff?
Pretty much that, just starting by, whoever would ask me to play with them, and started out as, just, hey, will you play with this? Thanks to Kaveh and a couple of, Kaveh Rostegar, Dave Palmer, keyboard player, was already living there, and I knew him, and he hooked me up with gigs whenever he could. He would hire me. Yeah. And introduced me to, I met some just wonderful, like played with Fiona through Dave.
That's cool.
A lot of people. Yeah. He was great. Champion. But beyond that, if someone asked me, just be like, yes, I'll be there. Sure. No problem.
Everything you could. Yeah.
Yeah. Coffee shop gigs, just everything.
What does your wife do musically?
She sings. She's a beautiful singer. She composes music and plays drums. So in our band, the Youngs, she plays drums and some keyboards.
Cool. And it's always cool when you have a woman drummer, man. It's like,
oh yeah,
it's just a cool thing.
It is very cool. And she loves Karen Carpenter. That's definitely the
impetus for that.
Yeah. Oh cool. Man, Karen Carpenter's badass.
So was she also pursuing music at the same time you were, or did she have a steady gig? And
yeah, but sort of it's been off and on for her. She in Seattle was doing a lot of like performance art stuff with some friends of hers, like dance and music collaboration stuff, and then came to LA, and she has worked various jobs, odd jobs, and then also studied film scoring.
No, wow, okay,
yeah. She's been studying that and working on it, and just trying to get a gig.
Yeah, I got you, man. Okay, so I'm gonna go through some of the artists you've worked with, Tim. Tell me how you wound up connecting with them, and a funny or cool or interesting story. Let's start with Beck, and that guy I have had a lot of his guitarists on there. He has super talented bands.
Yeah, incredible.
Really
incredible.
Yeah.
And well, so the Beck story is good because it's like so many other things I've found at this point, is that the sort of the problems and the struggle of the story is like 90% of it, and then the good part is like 10%.
Awesome, perfect story.
That's just like life. So Beck. So that was in like 2010, maybe 2009. I was touring right at that time with a lady named Jessie Balin, and a nice singer. And we were just like out on the road, I think just her and I. And I got a call from, Oh yeah, I got a call from someone, from a friend of a friend. Brian, this guy Brian LaBarton was sort of the musical director for Beck at that moment for his live thing,
Mhm.
and I got a call from him that they wanted me to audition for the live band. It's like, okay, great, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
Man, I'm out on tour with the singer right now. I'm I'm on tour with her, and I'm in Nashville like for a week rehearsing. But this is the gig. I got to do it. So I hustle, like call in a favor, like scrape the money, buy a ticket last minute, go out, fly, do the audition, play. It goes okay. I go away, go back on tour, and then I got a call. They want me to come back and audition again, but with Beck. Beck there. So, okay, I'll do it. I got to do it. When is the day? Sunday. Okay. We have a gig in Detroit that night with Jesse. What am I going to do? So I call my friend, John Spiker or Tom Spiker in Philadelphia. Dude, can you learn this music? Fly out to Philadelphia. I'll fly you to Philadelphia so you can play the gig with Jesse while I fly back to LA to do. So he did it.
Wow.
He did it. And it was just a gig where she's not even playing guitar. She's just singing along with the accompanist. So he had to
that's a solid, man. He did you a solid.
He did a serious solid.
Yeah.
And I guess the gig was a nightmare. She was not at all happy about it. But I flew out to freaking.
But not as unhappy as she was about to be. I have a funny feeling.
So I flew out and I did the audition. And I come back and go back to tour. Everything's fine. And then I didn't hear from him again. I didn't get the gig. But then like 6 months later, they call me up and they was like, hey, Beck's doing a recording session. What are you doing for the next 2 weeks?
Oh, wow.
And that was like I hadn't heard from them in months. And I was like, whatever, I'm there. Count me in. So I was very excited. I think, kind of turned out even better that I ended up doing a recording. Very excited to go to Ocean Way Studios, and it's Greg Kirsten on keyboards, legend, Joey Waronker
on drums.
Yeah. And oh man, I'll think of the guitar player. The guy is usually
Lyle.
No. Jason.
Guitar player.
Yeah. The usual guy with him. Anyway. I got there. I set up my thing, and I have my weird, like my Hofner guitar with a built-in fuzz. It just sounds.
I saw that. I was like, I've never seen a Hofner guitar.
Yeah, they're really cool. And I kind of brought out the weird one, and I'm playing that, and we're just kind of getting sounds in the headphones and just messing around. And about 20, 30 minutes into that, Beck is in the control room, and he comes in. He's like, "All right, that was great. Let's do another one." Like. Wait, what? I really thought we were just like getting sounds, it's like, well, let's try another one. That was, and then
that was recorded.
Yeah. And then we did some more like that. And then I guess they took bits of that and formed those into songs. And then he actually had some songs that were kind of written out, just little chord things. And he would go like, here, take this acoustic guitar, play this. Okay, play it on here. And we would play through like half the song, not even finish the paper. And he'd be like, all right, that's good. Let's move on.
And so you're like, you have no clue what's going on pretty much.
I have no clue. And then at some point they're like, hey, why don't you go play the oud over there? Go to that room. Okay. All right. So
was that the first time you ever played an oud?
I touched one before, but not, I've never like, yeah. It's a terrible moment. And so I'm there and I'm like, I'm hanging out, and I think just I don't know if it was just my style, my vibe or whatever. After 2 days, I get the phone call from management. They're like, yeah, it's cool. You can just stay home today. You can stay home today.
Oh,
and if just maybe come by later and pick up your stuff.
Oh my God.
So I only had 2 days on that session. And I was ousted. I'm not sure.
So weird. The whole thing was like,
it was just so weird. And I never, no one ever said why or whatever. Not that they would, but.
No, but they should.
Yeah, maybe it would be nice to be like, your feet stank or whatever it was.
Just something like it wasn't a fit or,
Yeah.
We need a better oud guy. I mean,
we need a real oud player.
Could you imagine like, hey, can you play oud? I'd be like, oud lessons. Like I'd be like
Yeah.
on YouTube.
Totally.
Like, quick oud lessons.
Yeah, I'll be right back. I just gotta go to the bathroom.
That's crazy, man. That's wild.
Yeah.
He's wow. That is wild. And that was it.
That was it. But then I heard the music, and like I heard watching the film Scott Pilgrim versus the World or something. I think Beck did the soundtrack.
Okay.
I was watching it, and then I was like, wait a second. Wait,
that was your stuff?
Me. That's me, yeah.
Did you get mechanicals?
Yeah. I think it's all on there.
See, I'm learning this stuff now.
and also he used it on the Charlotte Gainsbourg record, RIM or something like that. IRM.
That's pretty good. It's weird that like you get dismissed and he uses it all.
Oh yeah, well, some of it. I mean, I think that's what he's just like, he gathers sound from bits, you know.
Yeah.
I think I was there. I provided some flavor that was useful, and he took that and then probably built a song from it.
The sound whisperer, Beck.
Yeah,
Wow.
It's trippy.
That is trippy, man.
But I learned. I still think back on it like, man, I wish I would. You know, what if I would have done this or that? Maybe I'd be like working with him more or something. I hope I do. I like his music.
His music is good. That's so weird. This every aspect of that was weird. Like we don't hear from them. Then, hey, can you come in the studio?
Yeah, and just how much effort went to try to get the gig. You know, I just really, and I guess that's what you do. You try really hard to get people to like you.
Well, I mean, look, man, if you don't try, you're certainly not going to get the gig.
Exactly. That's right.
You know,
that's right.
So I mean, like, what the hell? What's to lose, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned Fiona Apple. How did that come about?
So Dave Palmer, my buddy who I mentioned, he had moved down here before me. Wonderful piano player and just great personality, like a real good A-type dude. Perfect music director, you know, just like big picture, people person, a top dog. He hired me to do it. He would put these things together at Largo in LA, wonderful club. They used to have, you know, just a variety of songstress type people, cabaret events, music. And he would always put together wonderful bands and then, you know, have it be like the house band and have different singers in on the night. Fiona did a bunch of songs one night, really, really beautiful. And then we worked together on, Dave made an album of the music of Cy Coleman, who was a composer famous for writing Witchcraft and a bunch of, you know, like Sinatra tunes. Did a tribute album, did some songs with Fiona on that. So those are the works that I've done with her.
That's cool.
And yeah, I mean, just she's a wonderful, wonderful singer. And then more recently, she would sit in sometimes with the band that I played with, Don Heffington.
Why do I know that name?
He just passed away. He was kind of a famous LA drummer.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he passed away in March.
I must have seen people posting.
Yeah, a lot of people mention it. But she would come sit in with us. He played with her quite a bit, and so we jammed together in that context.
That's awesome, man. And how did the Corden gig come about?
Reggie Watts, the singer, comedian. I went to college at Cornish with him.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, so we were only in classes together a little bit. Like I think we were only in one class for.
And what was he studying there? Like they didn't have a comic?
No, he studied music. Music.
Okay.
He was jazz in the jazz program.
Okay.
He's a good keyboard player. He plays violin, apparently. I've never heard him, but he started on violin and singing.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had a couple classes together, but then, you know, worked together in Seattle, you know, in different bands and gig situations. And then when he would come to LA, like he moved to New York and had his whole vibe. Occasionally he would come to New York, to LA to, you know, do some musical thing, like we did an appearance on Conan, for instance, or to make, you know, some custom track that he wanted to make. And he would come to me and I'd produce it for him and put together a band.
Oh, okay. So you were his LA guy.
Yeah. So I did a couple things like that. And then when he got tapped for the Corden gig, he asked me to be in it. Me and one other guy, Steve Scalfati, who we knew from Seattle as well.
That is so, it's so weird how things get connected, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and for real, like you mentioned earlier, where would I be in life, without that? I definitely it all makes sense now.
Yeah.
Because my son Levon was born in October 2014.
That's a great name.
Yeah, Levon. October 2014, and by December, my wife and I were like, "There's no way we're going to be able to do this." Yeah. The hustle in LA, like I don't see how I can afford to do this with our kid,
Yeah.
And literally like a week later, Reggie called me up and was like, "Hey, what are you doing next year?"
What are you doing next year?
Whatever. Anything, whatever you say, boss.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it is. It's beautiful. And so for that reason, we've been able to just stay in LA and keep moving.
That's wonderful, man. Good story. I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
That is so good to hear. That's what I like about doing this show, because everybody's story, most people's story, is very inspiring like that. And, you never know. The message I get overriding is fucking hang in there, do what you like, have faith that it's going to work. And it does.
Yeah.
It doesn't work on your time frame all the time.
Right.
But it works.
Yes. It's true.
It is. It really is. And I've heard so many stories from Danny Korchmar was on here recently. This guy's played on thousands of records. He was saying, he was so broke at a point in time, he could not. No accountant would even work with him to do his taxes because he had no money. This is a guy who's played on thousands of records, and he's like, shit, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. And Don Henley calls. He goes, "Hey, can you audition?" And it turned out they co-wrote songs together. He wrote one of his biggest,
Yeah.
I hear this all the time.
Yeah. You have to hang in there. That's exactly it.
That's the dues that not, having some faith or stupid or whatever you want to call it. Just
some stupid.
No, seriously, because you have to have, and then you also, you have to have a support person.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that shit on your own.
Yeah, it is.
But when you have like like in your case, a wife, in my case, my wife's always been supportive of anything I wanted to do. It for me, it matters a lot. Life's hard to get through on your own, man.
It is. And you have to be realistic. Like you just set your own goal for yourself. You try to achieve it and you get the satisfaction. That's all you can really, control. Like what you get back from the world, whether you get rich from it, all that stuff you can't control.
No.
And that's important. It's an important lesson.
Yeah. You can't be attached to results too. I have found the more, because you can't control that. So what's the use of investing in it? You can do your thing, the results will be what the results will be, but all you're responsible for is doing your thing anyway. So in a way, it pulls the pressure off of you.
Yeah, that's true.
For me, I've found that anyway, not that I'm disinterested in the results or I don't want them, but I'm like, I can't, that's not my half of the equation.
No. And honestly, like I think if I wasn't playing music and wasn't trying to do these projects, I would be finding some other way not to go crazy.
Right.
Like I would have to do something else to not go crazy being alive.
Yeah.
I have to be interested in something, and I have to attach my focus onto progressing in some direction.
Yeah.
So this is it, man. It doesn't matter what the result is. I just have to be doing it, man.
Yes.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
And try to do it as well as I possibly can.
Well, I'm glad it worked out. It is working out. So it's a good story, man.
We'll keep it going. We're James' contract goes through September of next year.
Of 22.
Yeah, 22. And then it's up to him. If he keeps going, I imagine we will.
Yeah, that's cool.
So we'll see.
Time your mortgage payments so they
I know.
I know we're good till September 22.
Yeah, no, I see that's like the river, and that's like the cliff there.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know what's gonna happen.
I know.
That's exciting.
I know it is exciting. It's scary, but exciting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite musical guests that you've played with on the Corden Show? I'm sure it's like a really long list.
Well, so when we play with people, it's usually like in a theatrical setting. You know, it's not, we don't often have, if it's going to be the musician doing their song, they have their own band almost always. It's usually like a parody of their song, or like some skit that was written with them in mind. And so, but as far as the fun ones to perform with, Cher was great. She was very cool. We did like, I've got you, babe, but like some, you know, some kind of comedic twist on that. We did a version of that song. We did a song with Cyndi Lauper, which was Girls Just Want Equal Funds. Funds.
Girls Just Want Equal Funds.
That was a blast. Well, man, let's talk about fun performing with Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise was fun.
What did he do that was fun? That's surprising.
Okay, so that he did, they did these things called roll call, where they try to reenact all the great moments of a person's film career in 5 minutes, like in one shot. So like they have to be standing there, and they toss him like a wig. He puts it on in a jacket, and they deliver the words from one scene, throw that off, grab like a gun and shoot. And so and so they did this. They did it with Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise is he's such a perfectionist, dude. The guy is so serious. They asked him to do it. He's like, okay, well, I'm pretty busy for the next 6 months. Well, we can do it in October, but I'm going to need 3 days of pre-rehearsal. We're going to have like like
for 5 minutes of this performance.
If he was going to do it, it was going to be top notch. So we had so much rehearsal, and you know, all the choreography, and them working out like the tossing the bottles from Risky Business and stuff.
Holy shit.
Like they did it, man. It was amazing. And then see, just like to work in that moment, to watch James and Tom Cruise like sorting out all the choreography, and like, no, you're gonna step back and throw it, but make sure you look to that camera. You know what I mean? Like all of the craft those two guys. And once I was just like, I get chills thinking about it. Like, you know, working with people that are that level craft was amazing. But in one of the other roll calls, it was Arnold Schwarzenegger did it. And we had to do the scene from Twins, take out the and the trash. I get the yakety yak, don't talk back, you know. They totally. That song in the movie. And so we had to play that for Arnold to sing.
Arnold sang that.
Yeah,
my God.
So he's there. He's like, we're like, yeah, let's just rehearse the music, Arnold. You could check it out. Hey, nice to meet you, Arnold. Here we go. We're gonna do it in the original key of G. But if you want a different key, do let me know, okay, buddy? And he's like, he goes, you say key? I don't sing key. I can't sing it.
That's so funny.
And then when we finished the whole thing, filming, he came up to me. He goes, "Oh man, remember when you said what key?" He was such a sweet dude.
Is he like in person? Is he big?
No, he's actually not much bigger than me. He's probably like 5'11", you know.
Oh, I thought he was tall. Interesting.
No, he's not very tall. He just and he's kind of shrunken back to almost normal.
Yeah. Well, he's got to be like 75 or something. No.
Yeah, he's ancient.
That's wow. He's ancient. Don't say that. Let me tell you, man. No, because I used to say stuff like that, and now I'm like, fuck, I'll be 60 in 3 years. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, you know. And now it's terrible. It's a weird thing getting old.
Sure. He was fun.
That's cool.
And then Neil Diamond, we did some kind of goofy version of Sweet Caroline. He was there, and we rehearsed it, and because he was on with his band doing a song as well, but they tagged that on. Mm-hmm. So we had our Sweet Caroline worked up, and he came out, or someone, what I thought was his musical director, came out to just check it out, you know, because they're like, we're going to send his MD out, check it out, play it with him. and this guy was there with the mic, and I thought it was his stand-in or his his MD. I did not think it was Neil Diamond because he wasn't dressed up. He was like in like a janitor's jacket or something, and like,
holy crap.
And he was just kind of just sort of singing the song real mellow. And then at the end, I was like, oh, that's great. And so when Neil gets here, we're really gonna, amp it up.
Oh my God.
And I don't know if he heard me entirely because he didn't react to that. So I'm just assuming he didn't hear that. But and then I covered my tracks. But
that's great.
Didn't look or feel like Neil Diamond. There were no rhinestones. There was no chest. There was no chest hair.
No chest hair. Yeah, that's
and so I got thrown.
Yeah, man, dude, where's your chest hair? It's funny. I had Al Di Meola on here, and you have no idea how many people emailed me like, did Al talk about his chest hair?
Oh wow!
Because Di Meola, all his album covers, he's like, yeah. I was like, no, we didn't.
That's amazing.
Maybe the next interview we'll talk about his. Hey, Al, let's pick this up. That's really cool. So I mean, you always seem like you're having a great time on. Everybody seems like they're having a lot of fun on that show.
And it's so much fun. I mean, it's so much fun, especially lately with the no audience, because it's been like this big group improv. Like we're part of it. The crew, the camera guys, the writers, they're all like in on the monologue. Like James will, just start into the monologue, read some stuff, and then it's like you, Susan. We'll just go from there. And
when
improvise.
are they going back to audience, or are they?
It'll start back in the fall when we go back.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's going to sort of phase in. I'm not sure how that'll look, but hopefully we'll be able to retain some of this magic, because it's everyone, James included, everyone has been enjoying it much more.
I was hoping you were going to have your leather shirt on. I saw that. That was
leather shirt.
That was pretty interesting. Yeah. And that was like you were all like spiffed out for that episode. You had the glasses on, your beard looked like you just got trimmed. Like you just looked like you did GQ the morning before that or something.
It's change it up. Got to keep changing it up.
Any other gigs, Tim, that you had as a session player that were cool and fun, or that you have like fond memories of that you want to talk about?
Oh yeah. Wow. Fond gigs. I mean, there's there are definitely some moments. Dave Palmer hired me to do, he did 3 nights of the Beatles music at the Hollywood Bowl. That was back it was a long time. It was like 2012 or something. Can't remember exactly, but and that was cool. It was with the Hollywood Bowl Orchestra, and Dave put together the band portion of it, and then we had different singers. I think they tried to get A-listers. It ended up being less than A-list. Let's just say it. That wasn't their first picks, but lovely singers all around.
Did you get more gigs out of that though? Because I bet you there's a ton of heavies in the audience.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Really?
I didn't. It's, I don't know how that shit works. Like if you get gigs from people.
Well, like someone would say, hey, I saw you play. Because everybody,
I wish.
Every like baby boomer over 60, 62, like loves the Beatles. And there's so many guys in LA.
It's true.
Yeah.
One would have thought I would have got some gigs out of it. But
was there a DVD?
Waiting for the phone to ring still 20 years later.
Is there a DVD? Can we you guys need to watch the DVD?
Yeah, and then come back and check this out.
The Beatles.
But that was, man, it was cool to play in a group that big,
Yeah.
Like it'd be in front of the orchestra.
And playing Beatles songs is kind of
playing those songs with a good, it was beautiful. And like as the night fell and people are out there, and this is right as the cell phone, the iPhones were like ubiquitous. So instead of lighters, it was just a sea of like lighter apps.
Yeah.
Doing Hey Jude.
That's always weird, isn't it?
It is really weird. Yeah. And that was the first time I'd ever seen that. First time I'd played to an audience that size in a long time. So that was very exciting.
Who's the other guitarist?
Oh, the other one on that was a guy named Anthony Coluccio from a friend of Dave's wife from back east, who came.
That's funny.
And beautiful guy, spent most of his life playing in like top 40 bands and stuff out there.
Yeah.
And poor dude forgot to put his capo on our rendition of I'm Looking Through You, which starts with acoustic guitar. So no problem there to start in the key of G with no capo. But when the rest of us came in and the orchestra came in in A flat,
oh my God,
it was a real, and like I knew right away. I was like, go to capo, and then oh man, and then he realized it after a second, and I've never seen a face turn quite so white.
Yeah. Fuck. What else? Hollywood Bowl, Beatles.
Yeah. Working with Brian Reitzel, the film composer that I've done a lot of work with, that has been just a good learning curve.
How'd you get turned on to that gig? And what
Dave
do you like
Palmer.
most about Dave Palmer? Hey,
Dave Palmer.
You need to buy a life insurance policy on that guy's.
Dave Palmer, he's my guy. I know. I definitely own him. Yeah, he has a real cool approach, and just kind of, getting to see view into like film music with that particular guy has been cool, because there's so many ways to go about it. There's so many.
What did you do with him? What kind of, like, underscore or?
Yeah, underscore. Yeah, and his particular strength is like the sort of sci-fi or murder horror genre stuff. So we did Hannibal, the NBC series Hannibal.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
And American Gods.
That's really cool.
As well as some fun horror flicks like 30 Days of Night, Red Riding Hood. A lot of suspense, psycho suspense stuff. So that music, it's very easy to hear, and once it's mixed in the movie, it's usually pretty quiet, and you just kind of don't think about it. It just fills it up. But the process of making it was really fun. It's always really cool with him. He's very artisanal, takes his time, so we'll spend an hour getting the guitar tone,
right,
and then about 3 minutes to play the
track.
to play the part.
When
it's very
you
much
hear that. Sorry, I apologize. Go ahead.
No, just very much more. It's like the sound is the big part of the process.
Yeah. When you hear your music being played on TV, how does that feeling differ than when you hear your music being played at a club or on the radio or something like that, or on here on James' show?
Yeah, I mean, it's very different experience, because that it's different functionality. Like the functionality of music, right, within TV, its context. In that context, it's not very important. Like we used to worry a lot about sounding good and we make sure we're all playing the right thing. And if there was a mistake, we'd be like, oh. Then you realize that they're only going to take the first 3 seconds of it. B, no one cares. C, it gets mixed and it comes out of, most people watch it on YouTube. It's going to be like mixed in the back and come out of a 1/8-inch speaker, like it doesn't matter. People are looking at James, listening to that joke. They don't need it to be
interesting.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, with the amount of clams that we played, and we'd be like, oh man, that is going to be terrible. And then you listen to the show. I don't know what the guy does. He must push a button and just like fix it all.
Or maybe it's just like you're not even hearing it.
Yeah. And then once again, it's that same thing of being super critical. If you're in your own head, like when, in a session, you're recording, you're in your headphones, and it's this mental nightmare that you go through. And then at the end of it, everyone's like, hey, what matter? That was great. Sounds awesome. That's cool. So, and in TV, it just doesn't matter. Like Reggie, he said it so beautifully. He said, man, it's a bulk game. This is a bulk business.
That's interesting.
Business. Yeah, it's
a
bulk business. Not any one song has to be genius. It's just, we just need to be sitting there smiling and making noise.
Well, I think that is actually important, because like most people that are watching TV tend to be more visuals than auditories. Yeah. Yeah. So you're smiling there, having a good time. That's what they're keying in on.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of, it's a bulk business. What a good quote.
It's a good one, man. And I kind of learned that lesson a while ago, just playing gigs with people around LA. So many gigs with singer-songwriters, because I would tend to get so like emotionally invested and feel like, oh, this music isn't happening. She's out of tune. I'm playing crappy. This is awful. People are not liking this, you know? And then at some point I was like, it doesn't matter. No one's thinking that.
Yeah.
No one notices how crappy this is. I'm just going to smile like I'm just owning this. I'm just going to own this, you know?
Yeah.
And people are just like, yeah, cool. That was great. Great gig, man. Hey, thanks.
Yeah. It's not like you got like 90% musicians that are like, you know,
they're like, oh
man,
that's another world.
You're out of tune by half a step. Yeah, right.
Most people want to just see enthusiasm. They want to see you having a good time.
I got to tell you, with rare exception, I don't think I've ever paid attention or actively heard like a clam at a one time that I remember, but it was more like the lead singer was actually throwing a hissy fit. It was just really bad. But I mean, it was terrible. It was very immature. I was like, man, I got in the show for free because I was invited, but I'm like, you know, people are paying like $100 to come here, man. Don't do that. Like someone like had to budget their money to come here, maybe lots of people, and like, don't do that. That was just not cool. But I've never heard, because I'm just enjoying the music.
Right.
Yeah.
You're having a good time.
Production work. You do a lot of that. What do you like best about that? And how did you sort of get into that?
I got into it by doing it for my own music for all these years, and realized at some point after I've like been hired as a session guy to do work on tracks for other people, like, wait, I've been doing that for myself since I was 11, which is putting together a song.
Right.
You know, figuring out what should the drums be doing? What should the bass be doing? What reference point were we trying to aim towards? You know, those are things I've been doing all along. So I've gotten more into doing it for other people, which I guess is just a matter of sort of like putting a sign up saying I'm open for business.
Yeah.
That's really what all the different.
That is all you need to do. It's not like,
something happens.
The production fairy comes through your doors and, hey man, here's your certificate that you can produce.
There's no sort of like milestone that all of a sudden you're a producer. You just set it out to do it. The barrier to
entry is right up here, man. Yeah. Right. And you crossed it. Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. And I nibbled at it on my own, working with artists that I was playing with, like Rebecca Pigeon. I was playing on some of her records, and then I produced a couple records for her.
That's awesome.
But then more recently, a good friend of mine, Scott Sievers, drummer and producer in LA. He's produced a bunch of stuff that I've worked on as well. We have a great time working together and have a similar musical ethos. Mm-hmm. And so we've started producing together as a team, Thundershirt.
Thundershirt. Yes, I read that. Where do you come up with these names, man?
Just, having a little fun, smoking a little weed, coming up with dumb names.
It's like you got to have like some sort of psychedelic dictionary, like the Paella Pit.
Yeah, well, these are all literal names. So Thundershirt is actually a product you can buy for dogs. Like when dogs are scared of like thunder or fireworks. Man, yeah. They wrap them. And so that's our mission statement, is to take the artist and snuggle them real tight until that song is done. We'll get that art right out of you. We'll snuggle you through all the fear. Don't worry. In the process, that fear process, we'll snuggle you right through it.
Relax. Right. Yeah,
Thundershirt.
That's so funny. I didn't know that was an actual product.
So yeah, we've produced a bunch of stuff together, and we're working on a bunch of projects currently.
That's great, man.
Yeah. And I love doing it. I mean, it's the thing I love about it is solving a puzzle. I love solving puzzles. And when someone comes to you with a song and tries to articulate what they see it becoming, then my job to try to get in there and make those steps happen.
Yeah.
Make their dream come true.
No, that's exactly what you're doing. How many when an artist comes to you that you have not, is there a difference between someone that you haven't heard before and then you are familiar with their music, between either of them? Like in your full,
yeah, for sure. I mean, because if it's someone that I've heard their music and they have a catalog, then you're kind of, you're just like dating a girl who you're sort of living up to her ex-boyfriend or something.
So there's a frame of reference there, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's got to be a balancing act. Like there's probably part of you that says, well, they were happy with this, so I have to.
Yeah, the key to me, honestly, is to find like what is the person's sort of song, what is their brand, what is the hook of their, what's their strong suit, whatever it is, and try to make that thing as strong as possible.
Yeah.
And it could, you could completely ignore all previous work and all other references and be like, we just did that with this guy we're working with. He sent it. We did the song remotely, and he started. He sent us like a piano track of him playing it, and then we took that and we built this track from his vocals and piano. We added everything, and then took away the piano, and we ended up turning it from like kind of a rock sort of Rolling Stones thing into Fela Kuti, Nigeria 70.
Wow.
Whole full-on African style. And I wrote a horn arrangement and got horn players and busted out the talking drum and all this stuff. We went full in on it, and then I played it for him.
And what did he say? Guys, I just like the Rolling Stones.
He's like, ouch, is not what I intended. And I talked to him. He was just devastated. He thought I had just ruined it.
Oh my God. So what did you learn out of that? Like,
maybe
because that's a lot of, because I know the thing that probably was upset for you guys, that's a lot of fucking work you did.
Oh yeah, we put in a lot of hours.
Yeah.
The lesson is you win some, you lose some, because it could have been that was the brilliant choice and it just would have blown his mind. And but, he's the client. He hired us to make this song, and so we're going to do it that way now.
Sure. but good for you for like not just saying, oh, well, let me do this. Like you put your own,
follow the joy.
You put effort in. Man, you put effort into this. You didn't take the easy way, the conventional, the safe way out. And sometimes that's going to work and sometimes it's not. But you did what you felt was good, which is what's important, which is why he's hiring you.
Exactly. And I thought this was going to elevate him, but maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe he'll listen to it in a couple of weeks and be like, you know what? I just smoked a fatty and now I get
it. You could do like two, like you could have like a one side American style, one side African style. Totally. Leave it up to the fans. Like a lot of people are doing that now. Like Bill did that on a couple of records, I think, didn't he? Frizzell, where he's got like a side. Who else did that? Another jazz guy, not Ben Monder, another jazz guy in New York City did something like that. Wayne Krantz did it. Yes. That's so funny, man. Do you have any other side hustles going? Because you're like a man. Grandma Peg taught you well, man. You're a man of side hustles. I like this.
Diversify. You got to diversify.
Dude, you're in the music business. If you're not, you're fucked. Unless you're Aerosmith,
Yeah, I know. If you're a heritage act, if you're in there, you're psyched. But no, you got to hustle. I mean, I am. I'm trying to hustle as much as I can. I'm working with a lady named Leah Paul on a podcast for kids.
Oh yeah, tell me about that. Talk about that, because I was going to mention.
Potato. It's called Sweet Potato Music, and she teaches music classes for kids in LA, and then she's written a lot of songs for those classes for kids to sing along with, bunch children's songs, and she had talked to me about helping produce some of those, and then that kind of evolved into maybe we should make it a podcast, and each one is a different lesson about some aspect of music. So it turned into that, and we're like on our fifth one now. I think 2 or 3 of them are now available on Apple Music.
Sweet Potato Music. Now let me ask you a question about that, a marketing question. Then I may be totally off. Who makes decisions there, kids or the parents?
I have no idea. I mean, I honestly don't know. I have no idea about that side of it. I'm just helping her make the music.
Produce it.
I just hope someone listens to it. I'm curious to see if they do.
Yeah.
But I would assume it's the parents forcing it down the kid's throat.
Yeah, that's why she's got to make those for the parents, not for the kid. Yeah.
There's got to be enough in there to keep the parents interested.
Right.
Well,
they're cutting the check.
There, they are. They're streaming dollars.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting. So Sweet Potato Music. So if you have kids that are into music, check out Sweet Potato Music.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about some of your other side hustles at the end there that I know that you have. Tim, low points. What were some low points or dark periods that you've had to deal with, and how'd you get through them?
Well, just musically, coming to Cornish, like going from my what was kind of a fun, successful career in high school playing music to just sort of like you're running and then like you run into water or something. It just like kind of lost steam or joy for music, and really didn't, after learning a little bit about jazz and like studying, realized how little I know and how, sort of fumbly and novice I am as a guitar player. It was very depressing, and couldn't really even I couldn't imagine what music I would want to play. I couldn't see what music to play. At that point, I heard a couple bands that were important. I heard Bill Frisell was really important to me, because I was like, oh, that's a jazz guitar player I would like to sound like. Yeah. I don't want to sound.
Wants to sound like that dude. Man.
Yeah. No, I mean, they're the humanity in it is sort of like that made that music more interesting or accessible to me. I didn't see myself ever sounding like Jim Hall or like Joe Pass or whatever. It wasn't exciting. So that, and then
thank you for saying that, because a lot of people don't like saying stuff like that. I agree with you. I got to connect emotionally. Yeah. And it's like guys that are shredders. That's nice.
I can't feel it.
But like when I'm down, that's not going to help me at all.
Doesn't do anything. Yeah, it doesn't.
For me, Yeah. I'm glad you said that, man. I agree with you.
Thanks. Well, so that, and then the band Ween. Was very important to me, because I just, that sort of sent that kind of the humor or like just that sort of like how would you say the indestructible truth of like, this is their music. You can't take that away from them. They're just doing it, their thing. And that's inspiring, like it made me want to make music that way, where it's just this kind of savage, just unapologetically itself kind of music. That's where the joy is.
And you do. That's the first thing I said to you. I said, man, I really like your stuff, because you don't give a shit. You're doing your stuff. It feels good, and it feels good to listen to.
Cool.
So you did it, man.
Thanks. Yeah, that's the goal, to try to just, make it interesting and fun for me. I can't be too serious. I have a hard time taking music too seriously.
But you seem like you enjoy laughing in general, man. Like,
I like having a joke, so the music.
The hell? You only got this much time, man. You might as well laugh as much as you. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. Totally, man. Life's too short to be depressed.
It is.
It is. So, okay. So you got through that you found a couple of things that inspired you and said, I can find my way in this, and I don't have to do Joe Pass.
Yeah.
I could find Tim Young in here.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Anything like that you're comfortable personally, low points or dark periods?
Yeah. I mean, sort of, drug stuff. Definitely went through a lot of that. And that's been a, sort of just a lifelong thing of, what it comes down to is just managing your sense of being okay in the moment.
Right.
Balancing your momentary feelings against your long-term goals. Who do you want to be in?
Right.
5 years, and for a good portion of my life, I haven't been able to hold that long view of things. To me, it's just like, I need to feel good today. I need to feel good right now. So I spent a lot of years chasing that with alcohol and drugs and whatnot.
That's a tough thing, man.
It is a tough thing, and it's I've had real low points where, fortunately, I haven't ever been afoul of the law or injured anyone,
Sure.
but times in my life where I was way too dependent on alcohol, and those were dark. And getting out of that, moving past that period, that's just such a complex whole thing. But for me, like all the different personal struggles, mental, a lot of those are just about not seeing life as it is. It's really easy to sort of get yourself caught up in expectations and sort of unreal views of the world. Like, you need to seeing things for what they are is challenging at times. And the more I've learned to sort of manage that and just be cool with what I am right now, the more I've been able to relax away from the substances.
Well, listen, man, first of all, I appreciate you sharing that. That's not, that's a cool thing to do. Cause I know for a fact, loads of people are listening to this and go through the same struggles.
Yeah.
I've not had that. I've had other issues that are related sort of periphery to that, but I've had some family members. I've had loads of friends. One thing that I kind of said this before, someone said to me one time, I met their sponsor and they were going through one of the 12-step programs. And they said, man, he's going to get it, just not on your time frame.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I was able to take that from me and I was able to use that for my own life. Cause I would be one of these guys like, shit's not happening fast. Like everybody else, I'm driven, I'm ambitious, and I'm working hard and I'm giving on. And well, then I was so glad I heard that. Cause I'm like, well, it's not my time frame. So it's really, it really helped me so much.
Yeah. It's important to be able to elevate out of your moment.
Yeah. It's not all about me.
Yeah, it's not all about you. And it's not all about right now. Even if it is
right.
It's also about tomorrow and the day after that. What do you want to be like?
Right.
You got to make choices that are not what you want to do.
Yeah.
Right at the time.
That's why I think the 12, I'm sorry, go ahead.
The 12 steps is good.
Well, I was going to say, that's why I think like, I'm not a religious person at all. I don't have a religious bone in me, but the component of 12 step where you're surrendering to like a higher power of your own choosing. Yeah. That takes a lot for me. And again, I went through this other program. It was called ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics and Dysfunctional Families. There's a yellow book. It's a 12-step program. It's just not meant for addicts. But that took a lot of pressure off me because I was like, okay, the control thing, I'm not in, and it wasn't for me. It was like, why, so demanding. I'm like, it's not my fucking show here, man. I'm doing the thing. It's somebody else is putting this shit together. It's like the same reason why you went to Cornish, and met your wife, why I grew up in the Bronx and my wife grew up in a tiny village in fucking England. And we've been together almost 30 years. How did that happen? Yeah. That certainly was not, I was not smart enough to make that shit
control that.
I'm just not, I would tell that anybody. So that was really helpful, man. I found that really, helpful for me. God, I get all the shit you're saying about, managing self expectations and stuff.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. It's tough to do.
But I made it, just kept going. That's the whole thing. You just keep going as well as you can. And I'm better in a better place now than I was then, and keep going.
Well, man, I appreciate you sharing that. And I wish you a ton of strength and courage to keep, on the path that you need.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's talk about gear for a minute. What's your go-to guitar right now, and what other couple of guitars would round out your top three?
You definitely love playing the Strat that I play on the show. The director Tim Mancinelli bought that for me. Sweet guy.
Wow.
It's like a limited edition thing. It's medium level Strat, not the most expensive, but a very cool guitar. I love a Strat. I played one years ago and then stopped. So that's been fun. That's just, it feels good tone. And then I end up using a lot on recording. I have a Squire Jazz Master, the J Mascis edition.
Yeah. That's another like sort of like a lower level. Interesting.
Yeah. No, it's a guy that was like the best $350 I ever spent.
Yeah.
I use it on everything because it's just somehow it just ends up being better. It just sounds better.
That is very cool.
And I play the SG a lot. I love that thing.
Tell me about that, man.
64 SG that I was in Chicago just once for a gig and went to my friends was like, you got to go to Chicago Music Exchange. You got to check it out.
Right.
I was like, yeah, I want to get an old SG. I've always wanted one. But I need to find one with a broken neck because otherwise
it's not affordable.
Too expensive. Yeah,
totally.
And so go there and there's like a wall of old SGs, sure enough. And so I tried it and I found that one and the guy cut me a good deal. So is there
PAFs in there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. P90s maybe. They're the silver ones.
Okay.
I'll tell you.
I don't know.
I should know. I feel bad. I don't know.
It's a beautiful guitar, man. It's just like I said, it's all checked up. Just right. You got is there a Bigsby on there too, if I remember right?
Yeah, but I took it off. Those are terrible. That does not work.
Doesn't work. It's a beautiful guitar.
It's actually not a Bigsby. It's the Gibson version, which is like the plate. It's like a metal plate.
I don't know what that's called, but I know what you're talking about.
It just makes it go out of tune. That's all it does.
It's a beautiful sounding guitar. That's what you play with Bill. It was just like.
Yeah, I just got it at that point.
Do you have it there?
No, I have.
What is that? Parker.
No, my friend Andrei Otroskin. He's a Russian guy that I used to have acoustic guitar duo with. He built this for me years ago.
Wow, that looks like a weapon. Like if you, like you could behead someone with that. Yeah, it's very Russian. Looks like I think that edge should be sharpened almost, like you know, like someone he comes near you and you're like, watch out. That's wild, man.
It's a cool one though. I just brought it. It's slightly smaller, so I brought it with me I'm in Seattle right now visiting
cool
family, and I'm gonna have one gig up here.
That's awesome. Any cool stories about how you acquired any of your guitars?
Well, Andre made that one. That's a fun one. And then another one. I have another one at home. I call it the Dad Star. My dad and I built it together.
Did you really?
Yeah, he's a cabinet maker, as I said.
That's right.
At one point, he wanted to build a guitar, so I found a design. I basically based it off a Les Paul, but without the arch. And we ordered all the parts, ordered the neck and all the electronics, but then did the body and put it together.
That is really cool. And you'll have that forever. That's a good memory. Yeah, man. That's really nice.
Yeah. And then the other funny guitar story is that when I married my first wife, I married along in 1996. I was friends with Stone Gossard of band Pearl Jam. Yeah. Super sweet guy. He came to the wedding, and when he left, he had left a guitar case in the basement of our house. He's like, "Oh, check that out." It was like a 1966 Gibson Firebird, like mint green with checks, like the checked finish and everything. Gorgeous, original PAF. And I played that for a while, but then went on tour with Zony Mash once, and we were just like, we made so little money. I was so broke. I got back and I sold the guitar.
Oh my God.
For not very much money either. But I sold it to a guitar shop right next to Stone Gossard's label shop. So
oh my God.
He went by there, and one day he was like, "Hey man, saw my guitar there at the shop."
Oh my God. Wow.
Regret that. And now I know the guy who owns it. He lives in LA now. I've asked to buy it back and he won't sell it to me.
That's awkward. Holy shit. I can't imagine that. Hey, you know that guitar that you left here
for my wedding? To use it? For my wedding.
Oh, that he gave it to you. He did give it to you. Oh, it was okay.
The wedding gift.
Okay. I thought he just left it like, okay, that was a wedding gift. Wow. Man, but you know what? When you're fucking broke, you gotta eat, man.
Yeah.
You got to eat. Wow. But I don't have a problem with that. You got to eat, man. And I'm sure he's not all butthurt about it either.
Sure.
Look, he's been there. He hasn't been in Pearl Jam since he was 12, right?
That's
man,
right.
I'm sure they had some broke days before they became, selling out arenas. Wow. What are you usually playing through amp-wise?
Oh, right now, actually, I'm just rocking this little guy here. I'll just show you.
Yeah. Wow.
Kemper.
Oh, okay, cool. What did you play? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just brought that with me because it's, it's here. It's easy. It's small. Yeah, I play that on the show.
What were you playing when you played with Bill? Was that his amps?
Oh, I think that was just an amp there at the studio. The Fretboard Journal guys had that.
Oh, right.
That amp there. Yeah.
Because there was like one of you was playing a Fender, I think, and.
Oh, I might have. No, I think that was there. There was like a Gibson or something, like an old Gibson amp.
One was an old Gibson, one was an old Fender, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they both sounded like
gorgeous. Yeah. I know, I love that.
What's the last thing you listened to musically?
Listen to mostly music with my son, Levon. Just listen to what he listens to.
Do you really? What does he listen to?
He listens to, it's sort of like the music comes from TikTok videos that he sees.
Okay.
And he'll listen to, like, there'll be a video of people reacting to some ridiculous thing, and then he'll ask me to Shazam that, and then I'll Shazam it, and then we'll listen to the actual song.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's an artist named 02 who's a Vietnamese singer.
Okay.
And she has a song called Tu Phuc Hon. And so we listened to that about 10,000 times.
That's what they do.
Yeah. So it's mostly just that. And I do love his sense of music though. And I listen to it avidly, and I kind of like analyze it, see what's going on. Because the way kids hear music is different from how I hear music.
Interesting.
It's like what he values in music. He hates guitars. He
hates
rock, can't stand rock, and can't stand. It's like, it just, those frequencies are.
That's interesting.
Poison to him.
What does he like? Just the vocals stuff?
He likes the synthy kind of pop stuff.
Right.
So it's interesting. I'm trying to see, like, what is it about that? Maybe I need to learn how to turn
him on to like Duran or something like that. Right. That's
exactly
funny. Give me your Tim, top 3 Desert Island discs just for this.
Okay.
Movie.
Oh yeah. John Coltrane, Johnny Hartman.
Mm-hmm.
Axis Bold as Love.
That's a very popular one.
So yeah, that's so good. And why not? American Beauty. I'm feeling the Dead right now.
Have you seen them ever? Seen them?
Yeah, I saw them a few times in the 80s.
I saw them in I think 77 or 78. That was the only time I did acid. It was interesting.
Good. Yeah.
That's the time. If you're going to do acid, I think
you're going to do it. Good
that's
place
the place.
To do it.
That's the place to do it. It was so much. There was so much drugs. I've never seen drugs like such like prolific use of drugs by so many people at once, man.
Incredible.
It was like, that was half of the mind fuck of it. I was like, whoa, what the hell? It was really wild. Tell me something that you want that you don't have now. Could be like a tangible thing or intangible thing. Doesn't matter.
No, I know what it is. I just want to have my sort of cottage industry going strong. I want to be selling my music to people, and I just want to have a solvent business playing music that I can keep doing for the rest of my life.
Good for you. I hope you get it.
Thanks. Yeah.
Tell me what makes you happy?
Being with my family, just being with people that are being around people, knowing that they are safe and feel good and are in their place, seeing them happy and safe.
Yeah, that
makes me happy.
Very important. Tell me what you like most about you.
Just moving forward. I feel like I'm good at moving forward. I feel like, I can trust that I will continue to attempt to move forward.
Right.
For whatever that means. It doesn't have to be fast, or I'm not sure if I'll get anywhere, but I know I will. I know I'm not going to stop trying to move.
That's important.
Yeah.
something or someone you miss from your childhood.
Greg Peters. Got to hook up with Greg Peters from our band QBXA when I was 11. It's time. I miss Greg. Got to see what Greg's been up to.
Is he still around?
I don't know. I got to find him. Got to go look him up.
Greg Peters. We're going to put out an all points bulletin for Greg Peters. Where was he from?
Greg Peters from Menlo Park, California.
From Menlo Park. And let me tell you something. People have done that on this show.
And they found him.
This is the weirdest shit. I had surgery 6 weeks ago. And I was just talking to the nurse there. She's a really sweet woman. 2 days later, she calls me. She wasn't even like my doctor's nurse. She was a nurse at the place. And she goes, "I'm really sorry to bother you." She said, "My boyfriend has been trying to get a hold of you." And I said, "Okay." And she said, "You had a guest on your show a while ago, and he said a name of somebody that was incredibly important to him in his life. It was my boyfriend, and he heard your show, and he would love to connect with this guy."
Wow.
So I said, "Well, I can't give you his information, but give me your boyfriend's name and number, and I'll get a hold of him and I'll let him know."
Yeah.
I sent him the email. I said, "Hey, I don't know. I don't know if this is valid or not, but she's a sweet woman and I wanted to pass this on to you. She's very kind to me." And like a week later, I get an email. He goes, "I have been looking for this guy for so many years. You have no idea how important and how meaningful this was." And I felt so good that through this little show that was able.
That's really cool.
I was really so cool. Like, wow, like that's my good deed for the
for your life.
So Greg Peters, if anybody knows Greg Peters from Menlo Park, what instrument did he play?
Played guitar and keyboards and sang.
Guitar and keyboards. Either get a hold of Tim or get a hold of me, and I'll get the information to Tim. Imagine how cool would that be now, right?
To get QBXA back together, man.
We'll put in the band. Yeah.
40 years later.
That would be awesome. That would be so cool. Do you have any non-musical superpowers?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a crafty guy. I'm a crafty MacGyver kind of guy.
Okay, MacGyver.
I can make stuff work.
I always respect that because I'm like, I brute force everything. I'm like, like guys that can have a magnet and a spool of thread and like somehow figure out how to like eat for 30 days using that. I'm like, wow, that's a fucking good skill set. I wish I had that.
That's it.
You have any hobbies outside of music?
Tennis.
Oh, cool. Just a few more. Tell me a specific experience, Tim, that changed your life or altered the way you think about things.
I can only assume. I can't exactly know how it worked, but I'm pretty sure it changed my life completely. I was burned almost to death when I was 13 months old and was wrapped in bandages up to my waist and IVs in my feet and in the hospital for 6 weeks when I was 13. I don't know what exactly it did, but I really feel like it made me who I am. And that like having 3rd-degree burns is like about the worst trauma that you can have.
Yeah.
And I think I already had that. Like at the age of 13 months, I had pretty much had the worst pain I'll ever have in my life. And I don't even remember it. So like, I think my personality has just been shaped by this like flash pan seared. My little brain was seared and singed at an early age. And I've been sort of like,
so things that might be like other people might be scared, like failing, quote unquote, you don't even think about that. Cause you're like,
some things don't feel so scary to me. Like I've been in a car accident once where it was just like crazy what happened. And I just remember stepping out and being like, okay, well, what are we going to do now? I guess I'm going to sort this out. It just seems like when really crazy stuff happens, I'm okay. I'm able to be there.
Wow.
Just informed who I am. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Two more questions. Biggest change in your personality over the last 10 years, and how much of that has been intentional and how much is a part of aging, the change?
Oof. Biggest change would be it's, you know, thinking more about, I guess, gratitude, or saying, you could put it like working with what you have, and focusing on what I can control and what I have, as opposed to what I want and what I am not.
Yeah.
That's the biggest change on a fundamental level.
What triggered that?
Just, you know, you get enough misery. If you make yourself miserable enough trying the other way, eventually you're like, well, I better change, you know. But that's it, really.
Yeah.
It's just shitty enough, you know.
Sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for you, man. And I want to tell people about what you have going on, but any final words of wisdom before we go?
Find something you love, whatever you're going to do, find things that you love, and then break it into pieces that you can do consistently, and come back every day a little bit and build it. I've been running on a treadmill for the last year and a half with this trainer on the video named Tommy Rivers, and it's totally changed my life in that way. Of anything you imagine you want to do, you just need to break it into small enough steps that you can execute those over and over and over, and keep building on it a little bit at a time. Because my thing is, I always wanted to be like Jimi Hendrix up here, but I'm like over here, and there's nothing in between. You have to just enjoy the process of building something. Build it steadily every day. Make sure you love what you do, and do it consistently, and then good things will come.
So you mean you've been literally running on a treadmill, like exercising? Mm-hmm. You know, what's funny? At first I said, damn, this guy looks like he's in really good shape, because I saw some of your videos. Not that you were like out of shape, but you just look like, you know what I'm saying? I saw that right away. So whatever you're doing is working, man.
Thanks, man.
I swear to God. Yeah. But I didn't know you. I can say, hey man, did you lose a bunch of weight or something? I
did absolutely stop drinking and just like exercise, because that's it.
Awesome.
You know, and like being able to have a view of things where that's my goal. That's what I want to do. And I know if I do this thing every day, I'm going to get there.
Yeah. The bite-sized thing, that's so important. Yeah. Because people say, I want to write a book. Okay. Like on what? Oh, I haven't thought about it. Well, did you make chapters? No. Did you? I mean, like,
yeah.
And then so they never do anything because the goal is this big, but that bite. Yeah, I agree with you on that, man. That is really.
And then but importantly, you have to learn how to get your joy and sustenance from that bite.
Right.
You're like, okay, I just took a little bite of that, and I know if I do that, you know, you can't expect to get the whole sweetness,
the
whole meal in one bite. You only get the satisfaction that you get after putting your work in.
Good for you, man. Yeah, you didn't.
The big dream never comes.
Right on, man.
You just get there, and then you're there.
No, but it's not like you didn't say, hey, I haven't lost all my weight. I've done this 3 days in a row already. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. The lifestyle.
Hey, first of all, thank you so much for everything, man. It's really nice talking to you. You've been really open, and I appreciate that. It was really kind of you.
Thank you. Great. Yeah.
I want to tell people, I love people to turn on to your music. Okay, so Tim's got a lot of things going on. I'm going to just go through them with him so he could explain them. But I will tell you this, it's going to be pretty impossible for you not to listen to everything in his catalog and not find a bunch of it you like, because he does a lot of different things. He's particularly good at playing funk / jazz / rock, and having a really good way of combining that and making it his own. But you'll find something in here. So let's start with Tim Young and the Questionnaires. Tell me about that.
Lovely record, made it a few years ago. Nice guy, Tim Boyle, the producer. This has never happened. I played on some records of things he'd done, produced, and he said, hey, I want to produce a record of your guitar playing. I'll put it together. You know, I'll pay for it. You choose the band, you choose the stuff. And he basically just hired me to play on my own record. Incredible.
That is wonderful.
Beautiful. And so, I had my friends Danny Frankel and John Osman and Peter Adams, and we made the record in a couple days. Just instrumental stuff, a couple covers, wrote some originals specifically with the idea that Tim wanted to try to license the stuff.
Okay.
So it was kind of like cinematic _ rock.
I listened to that. Always on My Mind, Arrhythmia Blues, What You Don't Know. I love those.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I love those tracks.
Thank you.
Very cool. So Tim Young and the Questionnaires. And you know, it was really funny. I kept trying to I'm like, is that a mistake? You know, the album cover.
Yeah.
It's on the side. I was like, but now that I know you, I'm like, no, that's just Tim. I was like,
that's just Tim sideways.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's not your sideways, but it's like you have like you're gonna do something a little different.
Yeah.
And that's your mark, and that's awesome.
That's it.
Okay. Penix. Penix. The name of the album is DUI-UD, like DUI or IUD.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let Tim explain that.
Yep, DUI-UD, a little palindrome there. Penix is the band, and it's a collection of songs I produced with Scott, my friend Scott Seaver, and Steve Scalfati, keyboard player in the Reggie band. And some other folks on there, but mostly, this album came out of a very drunken place. So I call this music alkadelic. It's alkadelic, and it's the intention. If you listen to
a new genre,
if you listen to it loud enough and at the right time, it'll give you that sensation of being an alcoholic. You'll get the feeling of being an alcoholic without having to drink. That, of just like being on like a 3-month bender and like you're, basically hallucinating from alcohol. If that's the idea, that's where it's taking you. Alkadelic.
So this is almost like a preventative
measure. It's anabuse. It's a musical anabuse.
Awesome.
It's a bunch of fun. It's like, my idea was I would come up with all these silly comedic musical ideas. You get drunk and come up with ideas. The point with that record was to actually do them.
Yeah.
To execute it. I'm tired of having stupid ideas and not doing them. So that album is an album full of stupid ideas realized.
Right on.
That's the whole point of it. And it was really important to me just to be able to get my creative process going, is to be able to take a joke and do it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I tend to get so serious and perfectionistic. Like if it's not great art, then I can't do it. Right. So I tried to make it like, fuck it. It's not important. It's all a joke. I'm just going to make it the most amazing joke I can make it. That's what that record is. Yeah.
And plus, you know what? You find like, who's to say like what, our definition of what great art is. Exactly. Somebody else, I wish this thing might come out and turn like a lot of people be like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Who knows? Yeah. It's a good record.
It's Penix, Penix. Okay. Now you also got Ether Feather.
Yeah. Ether Feather is a trio with Dylan Ryan, drummer, and Sylvia Black, bass player. And it's kind of metal. It's like, kind of
interesting.
It's metal with vocals, stoner. It's like stoner rock metal, where it's kind of slightly minimalist, doomy, but also with some 80s hair metal flavor to it.
I like that stuff. I'm going to check it out. I love stoner rock.
Yeah.
When and all this is available either on Spotify or Apple Music.
There is a Ether Feather album out now. I think there's a new one coming out soon. It's trickling out. It's not awesome. Really I'm not sure exactly what's out there, but it's there.
Okay. Also, Young and More, Paul Moore. Alabala.
Alabala.
We
just released that in April. It's an album that we started in 2003. We wrote a series of songs that ended up wanting to have like an orchestra with, and so we pulled together all our friends and we did a couple of nights at a venue in Seattle that we tried to record. Complete nightmare. Was not able to record it. So we went to the studio and tried to record bit by bit this 40-piece group. Totally ran out of money. My sister gave us some money. We recorded some more. Ran out of money. Stone Gossard gave us some money. We recorded some more. Finally finished it and mastered it in 2013, and then it sat in our hard drive for 8 years.
Wow.
When I'm like, well, we got to get a label or blah, blah, blah. I don't know. And then eventually we're like, well, okay, well, let's just put it out. So we put it out and now it's out.
Young and More it's on
Young and More, Alabala. It's beautiful orchestral rock album.
Awesome. The Youngs, you and your wife.
Yes. Aaron and I have been playing together since we got together so very long ago. And we put out an album in 2004 I was on Web of Mimicry label, and then we put out another one on our own in 2005, and then Not a Peep. And we had the last time we played together was right before Levon was born in 2014. And so we actually haven't played together since then, but we have an album of music about to come out of things that we recorded in 2009. Beautiful songs.
Very cool.
And we'll be back at it as soon as Levon learns how to play bass. We'll be back coming to a theater near you.
That's great. Zony Mash. There's some great stuff there, man.
Thank you.
Talk about that.
Yeah, Zony. So Wayne Horvitz moved to Seattle in 1988, and I started playing with him in like 93 or 4.
He's a keyboard player.
Yeah, keyboard player from New York. And we made a whole bunch of records together and toured a lot. We started by doing like a residency, a Tuesday night thing in Seattle for like a year, and then eventually made a record and went on the road. And we played a lot of European festivals and US tours and stuff. And then I think it was about 15 years ago, we did a tour that was I was still in Seattle. So 2003 or 4 or whatever, did a tour that was so disastrous. So we went, like the first night of the tour, our rental car got stolen while we were playing for 2 people. While we were playing for 2 people in New Orleans, our car was getting stolen with all of our luggage and all our merch and stuff. It was just a disaster. And then the tour went on from there, and we'd lost so much money that Wayne was like, okay, we're done. I can't do this anymore. But since then we've hobbled back and play, we play the occasional, we play like generally around the holidays. I'll go up to Seattle and we'll do some shows, or in the summer we might do a few things. So we're still at it, still playing.
Good. Great. This, I could swear somebody in New Orleans was talking about Zony Mash. They had a concert like last week or the other day. Is that possible?
Nope. If they didn't tell me about it, I'm going to be very upset.
She said the Zony Mash show has been canceled. It was a musician that I had on my show in New Orleans.
Man, maybe there's another band, Zony Mash.
Well, maybe it's just Zony. I mean, it sounded, I don't know.
Weird.
Very weird.
Well, it's the name of a Meters song.
Right. So maybe and New Orleans, they're in New Orleans. So maybe it's maybe it's a Meters cover band or something just called Zony. Yeah. Okay. But I was looking for names. I didn't see anybody's. I didn't see like Wayne's name. I didn't see, I was looking for your name because at this time I knew that you were part of the band. So I don't know. It was just weird. Only because you mentioned New Orleans. I'm like, well, that's weird.
Yeah.
All right. So a bunch of stuff, and also children's podcast, Sweet Potato Music. Also, Tim is around and available for if you are interested in having him play on your record tracks. Also, he is, if you dare to go into the Paella Pit and you want to work with Tim on production, him and it's Mike, right?
Scott.
I'm sorry, Scott Stevens. I'm saying Mike Stevens. Him and Scott are available to help you out with that. Yeah. And also, if you dig some of what Tim does guitar wise, and you either want to get some information on that, or you have a particular problem that based on what he does, you think he could help you solve, he's available for lessons to work with you there on Zoom. And is there a contact tab on a website that they can find you at?
Ooh, yeah. On my website, timothyyoungmusic.com. You can contact me there.
Great. And are you on all the socials? You want, like, for people to follow you, or?
Sort of. I'm on Instagram. Television's Tim Young. Television's Tim Young.
Television's Tim Young. That's awesome.
I got to get my game together this summer. That's one of my goals. But I'm there. You can kind of find me now.
Yeah, it's a very hard goal to like get pumped up about.
It is. I know. There's very little sweet nectar at the end of that effort.
It's almost like a job. Like I have to do this job. Like it's
but
like
that's life, man. That's what you got to do. You got to show up and just do it.
It's like fixing your pipes or something. Anyway, man, thank you very much for everything. I really appreciate it. Oh man, pleasure. Thanks. Real good talking to you.
Yeah, likewise.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed it, share this with your friends. Thanks very much to Tim Young. Go to Timothy Young Music, and everything pretty much he does is on there. Tim Young and the Questionnaires, Penix, Penix, Ether Feather, Young and More, Zony Mash, The Youngs, and also production and tracks is probably the most relevant thing that somebody might want listening to this. And most important, man, remember that happiness is a choice. So choose wisely. Be nice, go play a guitar, and have fun. Until next time, peace and love, everybody. I am out. Tim, thank you so much for everything, brother.
Thank you.